This is not like Nigeria where you can easily come out and flag down bike or Okada and enter. There's no keke, there's no Okada. Like, if you go to a clinic or a hospital without this card, you may have to pay a ridiculous amount that you may not really have. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time of seeing this face, you are so welcome to this channel, and if you're a returning subscriber, as always, you guys are the best. So in this particular video, let's call it a chit chat, we're going to be discussing everything that you need to do as soon as you arrive in Canada so that you can settle in. Okay, everything that you need to do within your first 2 weeks to 1 month so that you can properly settle in and you can just go about what you actually came for without being lost or forgetting anything very important. Okay. I hope this video is helpful to you, and if you've not already subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. Don't look at my face for nothing. Subscribe to this channel. Click that red subscribe button down below. Okay, now let's get into the video. So the first thing that I feel that you need to do as soon as you land, as soon as you set foot into the land of Canada, is that you need to grab yourself a phone number, a telephone number. This is very, very important because almost everything that you're going to be doing, they will require a phone number from you, and you want people to be able to reach you. Every other thing that you need to do needs a phone number. All the forms, all the filling out of everything that you need to do, even from the airports, if you might actually need your phone number. But I believe that as soon as you come in, like within the first few days, please get yourself a Canadian line, a Canadian number. Very, very important. There are lots of telecommunications companies here, so just make your inquiries and choose the best one for you. Like, just ask people around, figure out the best one that you can get, and then get it. It also usually comes with some data with the SIM card, but that is not something that I would advise that you start using. Please, there is usually Wi-Fi in wherever you're staying, so try and use that Wi-Fi because you can quickly accumulate a lot of bills if you start using your data for very, very heavy internet stuff. So anyway, I got my number as soon as I came in, like I think 2 days later, because the first few days I had to just rest from the 2-day trip. So I got my line like 2 days later after coming into the country, and then that was even before I proceeded to go to the other things. I said this first. I know why I said this first, because you are going to need your number for every other thing you want to do in this list. Like all the other things, the phone number is going to be required of you. And also, some phones are actually not compatible here. Like some phones don't work here, like the SIM cards, the Canadian SIM cards don't work in those phones. And so if you're using something like, I heard, if you're using something like Techno or Infinix or stuff like that, the phones do not work here. So please, you might also need to get a compatible phone with your SIM card, or if you're using something like an iPhone, maybe your phone will be compatible here. But if not, you might also need to get a new phone with your new SIM card. But that is not something to worry about. All you need to know is that coming here, one of the first things I would advise that you get to is actually getting yourself a phone number. So the second thing that you need to do as soon as you land, like very, very important, is to get your SIN. This is your social insurance number. Your social insurance number is basically your identity here in Canada. Like without this number, you're nobody, you're a ghost. Okay, so you basically need this number as soon as you arrive, but this number is very, very confidential. So while you require this number, you cannot share it with just anybody, because people can steal your identity, defraud you, like commit crimes, and it's basically you that did it with this number. So this is not a number you're supposed to share with anybody. You should make sure that nobody else knows this number. This is a number that you're supposed to keep very, very confidential. So you only share this number with your employers and maybe your bank. Only these two people. Like if it's not your employer, that is an employment offer already has been given to you, and you're sure that you're going to be employed, not when you're looking for a job. Two separate things. So if it's not your employer and maybe the bank, please don't share this number, because people are usually looking for who to defraud. So sometimes you can get some number calling you like a scammer or something. Oh, we need your number for this, for your SIN, for this. Do not give it out. It is very, very important, because with this number, anybody can defraud you take your identity. Like identity theft is usually done with this number, so please be very careful about how you share this number. But it is very, very important that you get it as soon as you arrive into Canada. So the third thing that you need to do as soon as you arrive into Canada is to open a bank account. So like I said, a phone number is important, but a bank account is also much more important, because you're actually going to need your phone number for this bank account, which is why I told you that you're going to need it for almost every other thing that you're doing. Like before you open your bank account, they're going to ask you for some details, and your phone number is definitely one of those things. But you need a bank account. You needed it like yesterday. Please get yourself a bank account as soon as you enter the country. This is not just because of, okay, let's have a bank account. It's also because you need a card to start spending from, especially if you didn't come into the country with a domiciliary account, or you don't have any sort of spending money on you, or you don't have cash. You need a bank account so that you can get cash to start spending from. Okay, when you open a bank account, they're going to most likely ask you to open a savings account, a checking account. Yeah, you can get a card for those accounts. Then you can also get a credit card. Now this is very important to start building your credit score. Credit score is basically like how they also know what you're capable of. Like most times you may not be able to rent a house, buy a car if you have a bad credit score, which is why you need to make inquiries about how credit card works, so that you don't go and default without even knowing what you are doing. So as soon as you get a bank account, ask and also make inquiries about how to open or get a credit card, just so that you can have some money to start spending before you can get some other source of income. So I would advise that you look into how a credit card works. Credit cards have some kind of payment plans most of the time, so you need to know how to pay back the money that you are not that you take from the card. So just look into it and find out the best kind of credit cards to use for newcomers and all of that. Look into the bank as well. Find out the bank that offers the best services to newcomers to Canada. So the next thing that you absolutely need to do as soon as you arrive into Canada is to find a house. Like you don't even need to arrive to do this, because you can never really be comfortable as long as you don't have your own place. Anywhere you are squatting will not be as comfortable as your own house will be. So I just want to say that as soon as you arrive, you can start looking for your house. But even before you land, there is so many avenues for looking for houses. That you can look for houses on Facebook Marketplace. That was actually how we found this place that we are staying currently. But you can check on Facebook Marketplace. There are lots of websites for finding houses in Canada. So that is very, very necessary and something that you should absolutely look into, because no matter where you are, staying for the meantime, or who you are staying with, you can't really be comfortable unless you have your own place. Imagine all the items that you arrived with, or your food items that you definitely need to start unpacking and keeping in their proper places. You can't do that until you have your own place. So that is why I feel that it is very, very necessary to have your own house. As soon as you arrive, start looking for a house. Like most times you can find houses on Facebook Marketplace. I've also said that I'll put some other websites where you can find houses on the screen. But also if you have if you know a real estate agent, or you are maybe sometimes you can even see houses listed on the road or for rent, for lease, something like that. You can usually find houses out on the streets. Like you can just call the numbers and see how you can get a house. But most of the time houses are easy to come by. It's just if you can do what they require of you. So most of the time I would also say that please don't allow them to scam you. There is no application fee, no commitment fee. Don't allow them to give you any kind of fee that is not your rent. And until you park into a house, it is not actually your house. And most times somebody may promise you, I'm going to get you a house or something like that. Please just keep looking for a house, because a house is very, very necessary. Without a house, most of the time you can't even really settle down. How can you settle in without a house of your own? So I'm just giving you guys tips so that you don't go making a mistake and part with money that you don't even need to spend. So make sure that you look into whoever is promising to give you a house, and don't give them a dime till you are sure that you are paying your rent. So next thing that you need to do to settle in as soon as you land in Canada is to get your ID card. So this is like for me, I'm staying in British Columbia, so you can actually get a BC ID. like it's called British Columbia identification card, but depending on the province that you are staying, you are supposed to actually get an identification card from that province. For me, I had to get my international passport, and then depending on what you came on, if you have a study permit or a work permit or whatever, if you're a PR or something like that, then you can also come with whatever identification that you already have, and then you can give that to them. There's a place where they do this. Then you can come with your identification and then register for the identification card that is going to identify you as a person living in that particular province. So this is something that you can do as soon as you arrive, but this is something that you can do within the first 2 weeks that's of your arrival, because I did this like a week after I arrived. So I had to book an appointment. For this, I needed an appointment. Some of these things I mentioned, like a bank account, you can't really just start doing these things without booking an appointment. Even though I was able to walk into the bank and get my account opened for me the same day. I have some people, and I know some people that said that they needed to book an appointment in advance before they even came to open a bank account. You definitely need this kind of identification card so that you can access some services, because even looking for, I think, trying to get your phone number and all of that, they asked me for this identification card when I went to get my phone number, and I told them that I didn't have it. So I was still able to do it, but if I came with my ID card, like this ID card from the province, I would have been able to get some other telecommunications company that I actually wanted to go with. But because I didn't have this ID at that point, they told me that I couldn't get it. So I had to use my international passport for another defense company, telecoms company, that was accepting international passports. So some other things that you might want to do, you might require your ID card from the province. So please try as much as you can to look into it and figure out how to get your own identification card from your province as soon as you arrive. This is very, very important. Next thing that you should do as soon as you arrive, this is also in conjoinment with the other points I made about your ID card, but this is like your services card. So like I said, British Columbia is like BC services card. It's called BC services card, but BC services card or a services card is just basically a card that allows you to access services like medical services here. Medical services is free inputs because you pay taxes, so you're kind of paying for it. But if you want to access anything medical, so you need your ID card, your services card for this. And if you don't have this card with you, things are going to get very, very dicey, because you might have to pay out of pocket for your services, for the services rendered, and these things can be very expensive. Medical services can be very, very expensive here. So that is one thing that I would advise that you do as soon as you land, within the first 2 weeks to a month, so that you don't fall sick at any time and you begin to look for money that you may not be able to access. Because if you are paying for your medical services out of pocket, it is so very expensive, so expensive, you guys. So this services card basically allows you to access your medicals without paying out of pocket, because medical services is free, but you need a services card to access it. So as soon as you arrive, look into how to get your services card and make an appointment as soon as possible, just so that you can get your card before anything happens, or you find yourself in a position when you need it the most and you cannot get it, because this is very, very necessary. If you go to a hospital without this card, on a very good day, I'll tell you guys about my experience. But if you go to a clinic or a hospital without this card, you may have to pay a ridiculous amount that you may not really have. So the next point I have, which is the 7th thing that you need to do as soon as you arrive, is either get a bus pass or get a car. So these are 2 things that you need, because movement here is very, very dicey. This is not like Nigeria, where you can easily come out and flag down bike or Okada and enter. There's no keke, there's no Okada. So anywhere you're going without a bus pass or maybe a car, things are going to be kind of very, very scattered for you, because first of all, you need to have a way to move. So as a new immigrant in Canada, you need to have a means of transportation, because everybody has a car here. So if you don't have a car, you better enter the bus, and without a bus pass or some coins with you, you may not be able to access the bus. So over here, things are done a bit differently. Like I said, one thing that you need to know is that you can find almost any location on your Google Maps, and there is usually a bus that can take you there. So all these places that you want to go to, maybe you want to go and open your bank account, you want to go and get a phone number and stuff like that, you need to get there somehow. So if you don't have a car because you just arrived, you definitely need to get, maybe a bus pass or some coins so that you can access the bus. So now if you have a bus pass, or a bus pass is just basically like a card that says, okay, I've paid for my fare on this bus. So once you enter the bus, you scan it and then you're allowed to enter into the bus. So I would say that, if you arrive, probably look around and see where you can purchase your bus pass, so that if you need to go anywhere or you cannot, you don't have a car yet, you can easily use your Google Maps to find your location and go to the bus stop so that you can join the nearest bus going to that particular place. If you don't have a bus pass or you don't have a car, getting a car is actually another option, because you can easily get a car from a car dealership or from Facebook Marketplace, like I've told you guys. But with the dealership, they can actually finance the car for you and you now pay them monthly depending on your agreement with them. So that is actually doable. But if you don't have the money for that or the finances for that immediately after your arrival, which is probably most people, then you can actually get yourself a bus pass so that you can easily move around with the bus. There is usually bus services around here. So near your house there might be a bus stop. With Google Maps you can easily find out where the bus stop is, and then make sure you have your bus pass handy to scan as soon as you get on the bus stop. As soon as you arrive, you'll probably be able to figure all these things out, but getting a bus pass is something that I feel like is essential as soon as you arrive, just so that you can be able to move around. And this is necessary if you don't have somebody that is going to take you to where you want to go. If you don't have family or you're just coming alone, very, very necessary, so that you don't easily find yourself stranded or unable to move. Very, very important. The thing that you need to do as soon as you arrive is find a job. Finding a job is also necessary, so that you can start earning in the currency that you are spending in. Even if you came with a lot of money in naira, within a month to 2 months, that money is going to be gone. So no matter what you brought with you, like the amounts of money, getting a job is actually very, very important, so that you can properly settle in and begin to earn in the currency that you are spending in. But try as much as you can to get a job. Like there are so many ways of getting a job. There's job boards that you can check, like Indeed and stuff like that. But you can check on all these places and start looking for a job as soon as you arrive, so that you can make ends meet and you don't spend all of your savings or whatever that you brought with you. So the next thing that I feel that you need to do as soon as you arrive is also find a school. This is very, very important. If you came with your kids, with your children, or you have little kids that you need to put back into school, this is just so that they don't miss out too much on their academics. Like if they've been out of school for a while because of the trip and stuff, you need to find a school as soon as possible so that they can go back to school and you can figure out what to do with the rest of your time. So if you have kids and you haven't been able to put them in school, this is something that you need to do quickly within the first few weeks of your arrival, so that they don't miss out too much on their academics or lag behind in their academics or in their studies. So please, as soon as you arrive, definitely find a school for your kids. If you came as a family or you have little children that came with you, definitely enroll them in school as soon as you can. The last but not the least thing that you should do as soon as you arrive into Canada is to find yourself a family doctor. This is also in line with your services card that you need to get as soon as you arrive, but finding a family doctor is something that you need to do, because this is somebody that would be your personal family doctor. He will know your family history and be able to give you treatment as when due. So you need a family doctor. This is basically someone that will be your doctor, that will take care of you guys and your health. So you don't want to wait till you are now falling sick, or your children are sick, or you are sick yourself before you begin to look for a family doctor. This is a bit scarce to get. So you want to start on time to look for somebody that is going to be your family doctor before things get dicey. So like I said, if you've not already begun to look, as soon as you arrive, just there's usually a waiting list. Like join the waiting list on time, so that by the time you might need it, it might actually be available to you. So if possible, join the waiting list as soon as you arrive. Like usually there's a list where you can sign up and join the list as well. There are many people looking for a family doctor, but if you can be able to join the list, eventually you should be able to get one for yourself. So just, you know, start looking for a family doctor on time as soon as you come. But every other thing I told you guys on this list are things that you can be able to accomplish or do within your first 2 weeks to 1 month of arrival in Canada, just so that you can settle in properly. These are very, very important so that you don't go, you know, doing all the wrong things or not settling in the right way. So I hope this video has been helpful to you. If it has, please give this video a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel for more. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.